Sioux Tribal Council has broad legislative authority to regulate the conduct of persons on a Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, which includes the power to regulate the activity of employees of the Oglala tribe. And whereas Oglala Tribal Council, pursuant to the Constitution of the Oglala Tribe, Article 4, Section 1M and 1N, is empowered to protect and preserve the property, wildlife, and natural resources of the tribe, and to regulate the conduct of trade and the use and disposition of property upon the reservation, and to regulate, preserve, and strengthen native arts, crafts, culture, and the Lakota language. And whereas the Oglala tribe is committed to preserving, protecting, and maintaining its own wealth of historic sites and properties, has and will continue to set aside historic landmarks, structures, and objects of religious and cultural significance to the indigenous Oglala Lakota people, and establish a tribal registry of historic preservation properties and nominated local and treaty territory eligible historic sites to the National Register of Historic Places. And where it is the intent of the Tribal Council of the Oglala tribe to continue to assert leadership responsibilities and stewardship over all prehistoric, historic, religious, cultural sites and properties located on tribal lands by providing a means to incorporate all applicable federal historic preservation laws and community concerns into the Tribal Historic Preservation Ordinance, deployed to regulate and control preservation activities on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And whereas Oglala Tribal Council approved the creation of the Tribal Historic Preservation Office through Ordinance Number 08-09, provisionally under the administrative direction of the Natural Resources Regulatory Agency, until adequate funding could be obtained for the office to be a standalone entity. And whereas pursuant to Ordinance Number 13-17, the Oglala Tribal Council determined that adequate funding existed to support the Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Office as a standalone entity, and removed the Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Office from the administrative direction of the Natural Resources Regulatory Agency, but continued under the program oversight of the Land and Natural Resources Committee. And whereas pursuant to Ordinance Number 17-08, the Oglala Tribal Council moved the Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Office from being a standalone entity to an entity under the supervision and from the administrative direction of the Natural Resources Regulatory Agency. And whereas Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Office is still under the Oglala Tribe's General Fund, and there is a high need for services from this office that the current structure is unable to accommodate. And whereas Oglala Tribal Council has determined that it is in the best interests of the tribe and its members to restructure the Tribal Historic Preservation Office under the Natural Resources Regulatory Agency to include a Tribal Historic Preservation Officer only, and to allow for contracting with third parties for archaeologist services as needed to carry out the duties intent of the office, to remain in compliance with the Memorandum of Agreement with the National Park Service, the Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Plan of 2009, National Historic Preservation Act, and any other ordinance relating to the Tribal Historic Preservation Office. Now therefore be it ordained that the Oglala Tribal Council hereby approves the restructuring the Tribal Historic Preservation Office under the Natural Resources Regulatory Agency to include a Tribal Historic Preservation Officer only, and to contract with third parties for archaeologist services as needed to carry out the duties and intent of the office. The Memorandum of Agreement with the National Park Service, the Oglala Tribal Historic Preservation Plan of 2009, the National Historic Preservation Act, and any other ordinance relating to the Tribal Historic Preservation Office. And be it further ordained that this ordinance shall take effect immediately and shall supersede and repeal any and all prior inconsistent laws of the Oglala tribe.
Motion by Dave Poyer. Question, Jackie Sears.
Yeah, just looking at this ordinance, I don't see a plan of restructuring this Natural Resources or Tribal Historic Preservation Office itself. And I'm concerned. I wish the director was here or so we can ask a question, because I'm just concerned with the natural resources, the laws that pertain to TIPO. Are we going to be violating any federal law, you know, of overriding the policies that we have to follow? That's my concern. I just wanted to ask that question because I don't see a plan on here. It says to restructure. There should have been something in place. Unless that's coming afterward, I don't know. Thank you.
Dave Poyer, and then Chancey Wilson.
Mr. Chairman, it's like I said, it'll only be a historic preservation officer. That was the past executive director put that together. That was recommendations from him, and then the committee adopted it. So there'll just be a archaeologist contractor.
Chancey, that was your second. So we had a motion and a second. Call for the vote, please.
Lane Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson. Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Robin Tapio. Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Poyer. Sonia Lilhawk Weston.
Ha.
Jackie Sears.
Here.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
How?
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Motion did carry, 17 yes, 1 no. Okay, now we are moving on to the administrative law judge and the in-house counsel. In-house counsel first.
Mr. Chair, we have two packets. Which one are you going to use?
Just hang on, I'll give you the information as soon as we get it gathered up, okay? Just bear with me. Okay, here we go. What we have here in front of us is, you have there are two packets. The thicker one is Diane Johnson and Stephen Emery in this one here. This other one is Jennifer Berry Eagle, okay? So, what we'll do is we'll do Diane Johnson first, we'll do Steve Emery, and then we'll do Jennifer Berry Eagle, okay? Dave Poyer. Okay, first, we will call to the podium Diane Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and, excuse me, Mr. President, and members of the Tribal Business Council. My name is Diane Johnson, and I do have a packet in there. I have was here earlier this summer on 2 different occasions and met with some of you, and I believe there wasn't a quorum on that date, if I recall. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
We will go around the room. Chancey Wilson.
Maybe just, could you give us a little background, history of your background?
Sure. I've been a lawyer for approximately 33 years. I worked most of my years with the 3 affiliated tribes, having worked for them as legal counsel for approximately 20 plus years. And I've also worked as a federal U.S. probate judge for the Office of Hearings and Appeals for 8 years. I have extensive experience in the area of tribal government and with respect to the federal government. And more recently, I created a reentry program, and I created a reentry program for Native Americans who are coming out of state and federal prisons. And the reentry program, I created it, drafted all the legal documents for it. We have MOUs with federal agencies, such as, we have a multi-jurisdictional agreement, and we have an MOU with federal and state agencies to work specifically with Native Americans. So Native Americans are benefiting from the reentry program, and our success rate is approximately 80%, whereas when you look at the National Institute of Justice's statistics, their failure rate is 80% and their success rate is 20%. But with the reentry program, it's specifically geared to Native Americans, because when Native Americans come out of state and federal prisons, there's nothing there for them. There isn't that safety net. And many of them either go back into drug addiction, which has led them to be incarcerated in the first place, or they have extremely high recidivism rates. And so our program has been very successful in helping them get back on their feet. It reestablishes their goals. We give them hope. We get jobs for them. We're almost have entered into, we're nearly entering into an MOU. It's very close with one of the biggest employers in the state of North Dakota to hire our Native American people when they come out of state and federal prisons, because oftentimes employers slam the door in their faces. Even educational institutions, you can't get back into college for a degree of higher learning if you have a criminal background. They slam the door in your face as well. The same with getting an apartment or housing. So our program works with Native Americans. We help them get employment. housing, back to school. We do a case management. We do an assessment plan. And I believe what makes our program different than others and then other programs, even in the other states, is that we gear it towards our culture, we gear it towards tradition, and we even incorporate or make available Native American ceremonies. And that is a part of our program. They sign a contract with our program, and they have to complete the spiritual needs component part of our program. And that means that they don't have to go the Native American way, as long as they go to church of their choosing or some other religious, or to fulfill their specific religious beliefs. So, and I believe that's a key component. We even have mentors that come from the reservations to teach them if they want to sing at a drum group, or if they want to, and we also teach history, traditions, culture, education, all in addition to the Native American spiritual component part of it. So, and that's what I'm currently engaged in right now, and that's one of, it's been a big success. Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Why do you want to serve the great Oglala Lakota Nation?
Why do I want to start?
Why do you want
Why
to
do you
serve?
want to serve
Oh,
the great Lakota Nation, the Oglala Lakota Nation?
okay. I would like to serve the great Lakota Nation here with the Oglala Sioux tribe, because I believe I'm towards the end of my career. I've actually retired, and except for the work that I'm doing on the reentry program. And I've been in retirement now for about 6 or 7 months, and I would like to just, this is kind of like the end, you know, the tail end for me in my career and my profession. And I would love nothing better than to serve working with Indian tribes and with Indian people. I've devoted my entire career working with Indian tribes, supporting and upholding tribal sovereignty, tribal jurisdiction. I've worked on many agreements, testified before Congress, and I would love to do that for and on behalf of the Oglala Sioux tribe. It would be a wonderful experience for me, and I feel it's, you know, it's not like I'm from way off somewhere. You know, we're all Great Plains, Northern Plains, Native Americans, and it's it would be a fit. It wouldn't be something that's very out of the ordinary or anything for me.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Well, good afternoon. My question is, did you ever serve as an attorney for a council? And do you know our Oglala Sioux Tribal Council's codes and laws? And my last question is, do you interpret for the tribes case laws? Do you use case laws in your interpretations?
Yes, absolutely. I have represented, like I said, the 3 affiliated tribes as legal counsel for 20+ years, and in many of the presentations, I interpret case law for the tribes, and I've also been a presenter for the North Dakota State Bar Association on numerous occasions, and also give updates on case law at those seminars as well.
Do you know our code?
No, I do not know your code, no.
Sonia Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess my question to Ms. Johnson is, just looking at your very impressive resume that you have here, in various, you know, professional experiences that you held, and I think that just, I guess, in the same lines with what Ms. Bearkiller asked you, only that the laws of our tribe that you say that you don't know, but I'm sure that if you were selected, you would probably, won't take you very long to understand what our laws are here with the Oglala Sioux tribe.
Yes, ma'am, that's what lawyers do. I mean, when I was first hired to be the U.S. probate judge, I mean, I read for the first time some of the laws and the procedure, and administrative procedure and the CFRs and the laws that pertain to that particular area of law that I was hired to fulfill. So yes, that's exactly what lawyers do. We analyze and take a look at laws and interpret them, whether we're familiar with them or whether we're looking at them for the first time.
Okay, President, I still have the floor. One last question. It shows you have experience being chief judge.
Yes.
Did you apply for our chief judge position?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No.
Did you know it was open?
Yes. I was asked that one of the times I appeared here
Okay.
too, if I would be interested in that, and I told them no, that I would not be.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie Leisure.
Good afternoon, Ms. Johnson.
Good
I
afternoon.
have two questions for you, actually. The first one is, how do you define sovereignty? And the second question is, with all of your experience, what you just told us with the corrections and recidivism,
Yes.
how does sovereignty play a role in all that you do with regards to the MOUs with the outside agencies, such as the state?
Thank you, ma'am. Drafting MOUs and having MOUs with other sovereign entities, whether they be state or federal, is a prime top, and it's a great example of the tribe's sovereignty, because to enter into an MOU does not diminish or delineate one's sovereignty. It enhances it, it promotes it, because as the governing body, you say, we're a governing body. If you want to do business with us, you have to enter into an agreement with us. We just can't come and do business with you, and vice versa. It's a great example of a tribe's sovereignty to enter into MOUs with various state and federal agencies, because like I said, for example, in this reentry program, the state and federal government agencies that we've successfully been able to enter into MOUs with, they didn't have to enter into MOUs with our tribe. They could have, but they did, and the beneficiaries of that MOU are the Native American people. And so, I mean, they don't have to let us into their prisons to take in mentors and to meet with our Native American population or to provide reentry services. They can say, we've got a transitional services here in the Department of Corrections. We don't need to enter into an MOU with you. So actually entering into an MOU is a great classic example of a tribe's sovereignty.
Okay. James Cross.
The last question Sonia asked you, that was going to be my question on the chief judge position, but also with that, there's an attorney general position that's open with the tribe too. So.
Your attorney general position is akin to like a U.S. prosecutor or a federal prosecutor? That? No, I'm not interested in that either, sir. Those are tough positions, very tough positions.
Do we have anything else? Tina Merdanian.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, given all of your experience and your current residency, would you have any reservations in regards to the current salary that's being offered for this position and the transition? My understanding is, where do you currently reside?
I currently reside in Mandan, North Dakota, and it is about a 4.5-hour drive from Mandan to Rapid City. But I would consider moving to Rapid City.
And as far as the current salary that's being offered, would you be willing to accept that current salary?
And what is the parameters of the salary, the range? What is the minimum to the?
Base is what? Lisa, what's the base? 100. 80?
100.
So what I'm hearing is the base is 100,000.
Okay, well, if that's the base, that would be acceptable, and then we can negotiate terms from there. Oh.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody with any more questions? Okay. I'll give you a few minutes just for a closing statement, and then we will move on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I am an enrolled member of the 3 affiliated tribes in North Dakota. I was born and raised on the Fort Berthold Reservation. I was born and raised on the reservation, went to school there, graduated from high school from the reservation, and then went on to pursue college and a law degree after that. So I am very familiar and know Indian people. I took care of my mother for over 20 years, and she spoke the language every day. She never went to school. She wasn't educated. She wasn't worldly. She only knew the traditional Native ways. So in closing, I can relate, and I do relate, and my work experience speaks for itself, that I can relate to the all the Native American communities. I have been successful in doing that so far. And with that, I respectfully request that you give my application due consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next one we have is Stephen Emery.
I'm Dr. What power still young emata na mija na ol many lose ha o two elwati echani wa mchampiopi wazia takia makita pitopa watiptelo tipictelo ocha washchum kele little watching chache mitako kyoto we chabla na hena o icha wakingta na tokozike iua o icha wakingta chache makakile tako e chumpiki e chanopiki o gana takoja he maka I chuktelo ho waglushna umicha kapo. I wanted to tell you that, of course, that I'm from Cheyenne River, as you know. We now live in Rapid City right now, but shortly Belva and I are going to move to her land about 4 miles north of Windy. She has 308 acres there. And it's where I want to live and I want to work out of eventually. And I want to take this job because Uncle Oliver said it's about Takpuja. And I wanted to take it so I can help Takpuja. They should have at least as much authority as we have. And we should enhance it for them if we can. I know Diane Johnson personally. I think she's a fine attorney. I think she was an excellent judge, too. I've seen her opinions before. And frankly, you know, your choice is not an easy one, but I'll tell you this. At 5 o'clock today, I finished 28 full years as a member of the South Dakota Bar. And I'm the kid with the GED that went to Harvard. And her mom might talk Indian, so do I. And I want to tell you that when Mel come here, I understood him. I think there was a whole lot of people that didn't. And I don't think that they translate very good for him, to tell you the truth. I don't think people understood that he wanted to complain because his daughter wasn't treated fairly. He was powerful in what he said, but she was not powerful in the translation. And I have a lot of respect for Mel. I knew Mel and Everett for many years, and I sing Indian with both of them. I've been singing Indian all my life. Started when I was about 5. In fact, lately, I went up to this, used to be Harney Peak, now it's Black Elk Peak. And I sang Black Elk song. And you might be surprised that I would know a Black Elk song. That's because I made it. And why did I have to make it? Because every chief had their own song and their own day. But everybody forgot his. There's nobody alive that could sing it. Therefore, he's got a new one. I made a new Black Elk song. I sang it in this council for you. You know me. And am I familiar with your code? Yes, I am. I have litigated many cases in the courts here, and I've never lost a single one. Now, I gotta tell you, I've been serving tribes for 28 years, primarily in-house. I was in-house at Cheyenne River. I was in-house at Sinte Galeshka, and then I was in-house at Rosebud. And after I left Rosebud, I was in-house at Standing Rock. And I'm talking funny because I have a little problem with my mouth going dry. It's a medication thing. It doesn't affect my thinking, just in case somebody thinks it does. The other thing I want to tell you is, if I'm here, I'm going to start doing dialysis at night so that I never miss any hours. And then I'm going to tell you one other thing. Next year, I got a transplant coming for my daughter, Rachel. She already signed up with Avira, and assuming that I'm physically eligible for a transplant, I'm going to get one. I'll be the 5th one out of the Aspen Center in Rapid to get one. The last one was Terry Lukinek, who got a kidney from his daughter. My daughter, Rachel, is 21, and the good thing is, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, and she's mighty healthy. And because of that, I have a unique problem. All my daughters want to give me a kidney, and Rachel said, Dad, I don't care what any of the other girls do, I'm giving a kidney for you. And that's an amazing problem to have. So I want to say, my goal here is to work with people and to make a good life for Takoja. That's all. We have a responsibility to them. We can meet that responsibility. But I want to tell you something. We got to be on time for the committee meetings. We got to have a quorum every time. And if that means we got to change the rules and allow for a floater, we should do it. We need a quorum for the council, and we need good men like my brother Abe Tobacco right here. He makes me feel strong when he prays. He's been doing it all my life, and I thank him for it. I know Abe good. I sing with him, and I know him as a great singer and a perfectly fluent Lakota speaker. I like to talk Indian. My wife talks Indian. And some people think I'm goofy because I went over to Manderson for an education committee meeting, and I taught the bilingual class before the meeting. I didn't know it was another hour before I got there, that I was way early. And here, you know what? That lady and that man that taught that class invited me in and said, go ahead. And you want to know what was really cool? All those kids knew the songs I made for my little girls, and they were singing them and having fun with them, and that's what they were for. So I'm happy to do that. And I guarantee you one thing, I'll be a member of this community. I always have been. My mother-in-law, Rachel, afraid of enemy Hollowhorn, left me as the head son-in-law in charge. And I'm glad. When we do things that I explain in Indian and I explain in English, and I teach the younger kids what it's about. We need to teach our kids their own history. I don't think we're doing it very well, to tell you the truth, but I'm glad to do my part. And I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to serve you as I'm doing now, and I know you'll make the right choice, whatever it is. And I want to say, I'm very proud and thankful to listen to Diane Johnson, and I apologize for the mouth being so dry. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Tina Merdanian.
Thank you, Mr. Emery. Just, what you said really struck a chord with me in regards to our future of our children. So what qualifications do you have that make you think you will be successful in helping us secure that future for our children?
I'm good at listening. A lot of attorneys think that the whole world revolves around them. I'm not one that believes that. I got a GD, so I know I'm not special. I got many opportunities in my life, and I've never turned down work, ever. Some of it I get to more slowly than I get to others, but I've never turned any down. And I want to say, It's a happy moment for me to sit here before you on the eve of my 28th anniversary as a lawyer and say, I want to work for your grandchildren. Because that's really what I want to do. When they put the headdress on me at Crow Dogs, they said, what power will you take as a chief? And I said, I take the power to claim all the grandchildren. And if you claim the grandchildren, what that mean? When you see them, they'll come running to you. You make time for them. You teach them things. That's what I want to do. But at the same time, I want to help defend the sovereignty of the Oglala Sioux tribe. We need to run those non-profit corporations. They need to do it by our rules. And if they're going to enter the reservation, by golly, we're going to regulate them. We have the authority to regulate them. We just don't do a very good job of it. Let's get after them and let's make them do things that you want them to do. I look forward to that. I don't mind the church groups, all that stuff. I don't mind it. What I mind is people not giving the kids the other side, which is who they are. That's really important. And I think if we work together, we can get that in there. I think there's some of it in the schools now, and I think that's terrific. But I think more than that, you're going to have to teach the children themselves. My sister-in-law has a little kids group in Wounded Knee, Elizabeth Yellowhorse, and she and Belva, their dads were brothers and their moms are sisters. You can't get closer related than that. And so all those kids are my nieces and nephews. It's a great thrill to be around them and spend time with them. I get energy from them. It's amazing. Are there any more questions? Your sovereignty, by the way, is every exercise of authority that you do, that you think about. And I understand that some of the younger kids brought this thing with a treaty. It's cool, but they have to know this. Article 17 of the 68 Treaty abrogates the 1851. Yep. And you can lie to people and say that, oh, we're going to get the 1851 Treaty, but it's a flat lie. I've read that treaty many, many times trying to figure out what we're going to do with it. And I have to say, I thought Standing Rock and Cheyenne River, they're doing okay in their litigation, but they did not use the treaty correctly in my view. And if we get the opportunity to litigate, we're going to do some things different. Because I am a litigator.
Anyone else? James Cross. You're sitting there shaking your head. Okay, all right.
So come on up, bro. Let's go kick some ass. Hey, I'm a right on April, way back.
All right, good one. If there are no further questions, we will
I was going to tell
give
you
you
one
a
guy that
closing
we should.
statement.
May we remember one man here today? I'd like to remember Moon Weston. My brother-in-law was crippled very badly, and every morning at 8 o'clock you could find him one place, at the CAP office. Everybody knew it, and everybody brought their problems to him. Imagine that, he was crippled. He was crippled, he made a living with his mind, and he used the same mind, and he helped people. That's a great thing. And in closing, I say thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We now have Jennifer Bear Eagle. Is she? Oh, there she is. Give us an opening statement, and then we will open for questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here today. It's a really great honor to apply for this in-house position. Many of you know who I am, but going to introduce myself just a little bit. My name is Jennifer Berrygle. I'm an enrolled member of this tribe. I'm from here. I grew up in Wounded Knee. I was born over at the hospital here and grew up in Wounded Knee. And I went to law school at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln after going to undergrad there. Following law school, I worked for a law firm in Omaha, Nebraska, Fredericks, Peebles, and Morgan, and then I came here, and I currently work in the executive director's office as in-house counsel. It has always been a dream and a goal of mine to come back to the tribe and to do exactly what I'm applying to do now. That's the whole reason that I went to law school in the first place, is that I knew that the law and what happens in Washington, D.C., here at this level and in the courts directly impacts and affects Indian people, Indian tribes, and I feel extremely strongly, especially about working for my own tribe. Before I came here, I worked with a lot of different tribes all over the country doing general counsel work. Out of that law firm, I worked really closely with tribes on governmental matters, drafting codes, doing trainings, reviewing contracts, drafting MOUs, pretty much everything you can think of. I worked with tribal casinos, gaming commissions. I was fortunate enough to work extremely closely with some great business leaders in a lot of tribal economic development issues. I have a lot of experience with economic development and working with I guess some of the leaders in Indian country on those issues. So I believe that my experience, although I don't necessarily have the 20 years of experience or so that the others have, I feel like I have a lot to offer you. I worked for a law firm for 8 years. I've been here since November, and I work very closely with the programs, and I understand the issues that they face. I understand how the council works. I understand the responsibilities and the necessities that are needed to do this job. I work really closely already with many of you and the programs here, and I really thank you for this opportunity today. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions? Lydia Bearkiller.
I just was kind of curious about you having a position with the executive director and your decision to move to in-house counsel.
Yes, currently I do work in the executive director's office with the programs. However, the role that position over there was drafted to be very limited to handle administrative matters, and as I've been here for the past so many months, I find that I'm doing a lot more work directly with the committees and council members, and I feel that the experience and the knowledge that I have would be better served in this role.
Jackie Sears.
Hi, Jennifer. I just have one question. I was reading some of your background on working in different entities. Have you litigated anything in court individually, like rather than assisting, or did you actually litigate in court on behalf of the tribes or where you worked?
Yes, I have. Well, I do a lot of litigation now here as it relates to the tribal programs, but I have worked with other tribes in employment matters and other matters facing them in Nebraska and Michigan.
Philip Goodcrow.
Thank you. I would like to thank the other two, and plus you, for applying for this position, in-house attorney. One of the things that some of the other attorneys have experience in and working in-house attorneys for tribes, and one of the things that is in demand is that in-house attorneys listen very carefully, and once we want a resolution or ordinance amended or a new one developed, can you assist in that on demand, just at that, during the meeting?
Yes, absolutely. And that is actually something that I do now. I do get phone calls quite often from your committee secretaries asking for resolutions. Just this week, I think every single day I've been working on something for you.
If there are, oh, we have one. Tina Merdanian.
Ms. Barry-Eagle, what policy area would you consider your specialty?
You know, I have a lot of different experience working on different types of tribal codes, but I would say that the particular area that I probably have the most strength and experience is in economic development and drafting business codes, working with tribes to create their own codes, interpreting codes, creating tribal businesses, subsidiaries, reviewing contracts, everything related to business. I think that's probably where my #1 skill is.
Anyone else? Stanley, Little White Man.
How much research do you like?
I love research. I love doing research. You know, I've been in school for a very long time before I graduated, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't have continued as far as I have.
Stephanie Leisure.
Hi, Jennifer. In what do you feel is your biggest accomplishment since you started working for the tribe?
I think the biggest accomplishment since beginning to work with the tribe is that I've developed, I think it's the relationships that I've developed with your program directors and with all of you, and the working relationship that I have with the different entities, the programs, everyone here, the other attorneys. I try very hard to maintain a good relationship with the other attorneys that work for the tribe, and to help develop more cooperation, collaboration with them, because I see that in my office, if you ever come back to my office, I have lists of goals and things that I want to accomplish. I have so many things. I came here saying, you know, this is my tribe. These are things that I want done and things that I hope someday we can, you know, work on together. And so I'm very enthusiastic and motivated, and it really means a great deal to me. So.
What do you feel is the biggest barrier?
She's being real honest, guy.
I think it depends on what there are a lot of different barriers that tribes in general face, and that our tribe in particular faces, and I think it depends on what the program is. I could sit down and go area by area and tell you what I think maybe some of the barriers are, but I think it depends on what it is exactly you're asking, and I hope that I can offer solutions, and that's one of the things that's important to me. It's not just listing what those challenges are, but coming up with ways to approach and resolve them.
3 of her biggest barriers are up there in the corner. Sonia Weston.
Yeah, I just want to say good afternoon, Jennifer. And I am just sitting here listening to your interview and looking at your resume, and I really believe that you really have a good resume. You know, being a tribal member, first of all, it looked like you really worked hard in where you're at today. You know, coming here, I think that when you said, this is my tribe, you know, that really makes me feel good as a tribal leader that we have our own tribal member that has a Juris Doctorate and that can come back and work for our people. And I know that there's many challenges that this council can give you at times, you know, and I think you know that, you know, working with the programs, that's another thing, but coming to work for the council is going to be another challenge. And I want to know if you're ready to face those challenges, you know, ahead with this tribal council. I think one thing to also keep in mind is being an in-house council, you know, whatever committee you're assigned to, if you are selected, one thing I would really like to say is our work has to get done in a timely manner. You know, resolutions, ordinances that committees pass, you know, we'd like to see them done when committee meetings start or council starts. It's not good when we don't have things like that in front of us. We know through the tribal process, we got a 2/3 deadline, or we have an agenda deadline. And are you aware of those with the tribal secretary's office?
Yes, absolutely. I work, I hear from the secretaries fairly often.
Okay, so those are just my questions to you, and I'm glad that you put in for this position.
Do we have any more? Blaine Little Thunder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know for the Oglala Sioux tribe here with the Lakota Nation that work with the federal government out there in negotiation with 638 contract federal programs, the tribe with Washington, D.C., you know, we always got an input that we have rights as the Oglala Nation here with the treaty rights, the 1868 treaty rights and also the 51 territorial treaty rights, you know. We got all this based on that with our treaty rights and our land base here within us, and our land base is very diminished now. At one time, the 51 territorial treaties within a 5-state area. So we always got to go back on that, the treaty rights to use that base to fight for our rights, and also with whatever fundings that have come towards us that we need to fight for. You know, I know up there at Mila Hunska up there, you know, our new president, you know, we got to fight for all the cutbacks and so forth. That we got to fight for our rights. So we need attorneys as to make the arguments that determine what funding that we have that they obligated for the federal government to open that, you know, to help our treaty tribes. So if you're knowledgeable or if anything within using that treaty shall be, that's the question I got, that if you have any experience with the treaty rights determined with the federal programs and working with the tribes.
So I've been able to gain a lot of experience in the position I have now regarding the 638 contracts. Before I came here, the firm that I worked for did handle a lot of litigation, and sometimes treaty issues were brought up. And so I have done research on that, and I'm happy to continue to do research. My goal would, of course, to make myself be as knowledgeable as possible and to work as hard as I can. As I've mentioned before, you know, those treaty rights and things like that are so extremely important to me, and I would make every effort to do whatever it takes to make those arguments and defend our rights.
Oh, thank you.
Collins Clifford.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. I just have one.
Please use your microphone.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. I just have one question for you. Looking over your documents and your admissions and memberships, I don't see the South Dakota Bar on there. Are you working on the South Dakota Bar, or do you plan to have any work with the South Dakota Bar in the near future?
Right now, and I'm actually working on getting admitted to the South Dakota Bar. It's a very long application process, and I'm in the process of requesting to be admitted on motion. And so just this week I have been working on gathering all the information to get that completed.
If there are no more questions, I will open the floor. Oh, I have one. Nope. Well, I'm going to give her her closing statement. Let me finish what I'm trying to. You're welcome. Well, we will give you a few minutes to close, and we will take a 5-minute break after that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity and for allowing me to come speak with you today and interview for this position. As I mentioned, this has always been the goal of mine, and this is the whole reason that I went to law school in the first place, is to be able to go out there, get that education, come back and help my people. And so I really thank you again for this opportunity, because I feel that the skills that I can bring and the knowledge that I have and my experience both outside the tribe and working here would be an incredible asset. I've done a lot of work all over the country with other tribes, and so I feel I have this outside knowledge that would be extremely valuable. I've worked with some incredible leaders at the top of the game in terms of tribal economic development. I've testified before state legislatures. I've worked with other attorneys in Washington, D.C. and all over the country, some of whom you've all worked with as well. And so I'm really thankful again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask you this. Do you want to take a 5-minute break, or do we want to go to a vote and then take a break? There we go. So if Xavier would take around the ballots. Yes, I will have Stacy or somebody in the staff give those applications back. And then when you get done, finish voting, Xavier will collect them and bring them back up. And we will not use Abraham's cap. Stanley, come here. We need to reword that or strike it. Right here. We need to strike that.
Yeah, we need to strike that because that's usually done by the legal department.
And maybe put on there, whereas a contract, Stanley, come here. Stanley. Right up. Whereas a contract for X amount will be negotiated with the legal department, with the lawsuit legal department. Okay. Can you go pick up yeah, they'll have one.
Please turn in your in-house applicants. Paper. Has their resumes and stuff.
There you go. Yeah, I'll let you keep it. I won't touch it.
Ready?
Approving the contract for the selection.
The selection for the in-house for. One second. Put it like that. Okay. There you go. I can do that. Do you have your microphone on? Are you ready? Okay, we're ready to begin. Jennifer. 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 Diane. Jennifer. Jennifer. Steve. Jennifer. Jennifer. Steve. Jennifer. 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 Diane. Jennifer. So the final tally, Diane Johnson, 2. Stephen Emery, 2. Jennifer Bear Eagle, 14. Motion to approve the vote by Dave Puyer, seconded by Ella John Carlo. Would the secretary read the resolution and call for the vote? I believe you. You want to read it as such? We could just affirm it right here. Okay, all right. Call for the vote.
Lane Little Thunder,
Oh.
Jim Meeks. Stanley Little White Man,
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Ella John Carlo,
Yes.
Richard Greenwell,
I suppose.
Robin Tapio,
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
David Puyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Ha.
Jackie Sears,
Ha.
Colin C.J. Clifford, Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
18.
The vote is unanimous, 18 yes, 0 no. Thank you, council. Let's take this 5-minute break so I can put my notes together so we can start our next interviews. 5 minutes. We're working on We are back in session at 3:08, out of our break. We have, on our last vote, we motioned to approve the count. We now need a resolution for the selection. Jackie Sears.
Yeah, I was just looking at the resolution that came around here, and I thought the base was 100,000 starting.
According to what Stanley had advised me, is that it was negotiated and it was at 120. And that's as per the legal department from Lisa Steele Cummings.
So was it pre-negotiated or what? Because we
Stanley,
just
will you
selected
answer
her.
that?
Yeah, that came up after she was selected, so I talked to Lisa on the salary range, and she said the maximum is 120. So I went and asked Jennifer what she would accept, and I told her the amount could be from 100 to 120 maximum as set by legal department, and she agreed to the 120. So that's how that came about.
Okay. Somebody must be getting cold in that corner up there. Do we need to turn the heat off or turn it up? So, question, Tina Merdanian.
So when we have a resolution regarding a contract, we need the contract attached to the resolution, and we do not have one attached to this resolution.
Stanley Little White Man.
Okay, well, we can do as affirm her today, and then the contract could be drawn up by legal department and brought back.
Okay. Question, Tina Merdanian.
I really feel that having the contract attached to the resolution is proper protocol in regards to agreeing to something. I'd like to see it attached rather than hoping that it's going to state that and we don't know what's all within the contract. So therefore, I would like to table this until we get the contract attached to it.
Motion to table the resolution until, when you want to do it, Monday? Have them bring it back on Monday? Yeah. Seconded by Collins Clifford. Secretary, call for the vote.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
No.
Stanley Little White Man.
No.
Austin Watkins. Chauncey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
No.
James Cross.
No.
Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwell.
No.
Robin Tapio.
Yeah.
Philip Goodcrow.
No.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Yeah.
Jackie Sears.
Huh.
CJ Clifford. Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
Failed.
Motion to table failed. 6 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain, and 1 not voting. Stanley Little White Man.
Chairman, I motion to accept her as the in-house attorney as voted upon and have the legal department draft a contract and have it back on Monday.
We have a motion by Stanley Little White Man to accept by resolution and have the contract come back for approval on Monday. Seconded by Robin Tapio, question.
Yeah, I think that's okay to, approve her for the position, but I think the committee needs to be involved in the negotiation of the salary, because, I think the minimum was 100,000, and I thought that's what we start at, and then we can negotiate that when the contract comes through, if the motion maker would consider that.
In previous selections of the in-house attorneys, that wasn't the case. We selected them, and the legal department was the one that negotiated with them with the amounts that they had because of the budget. And after that, it came back to the council for approval. That's what we've done in the past.
And this is what we did at the start of this administration. It was voted on that the legal department, myself, and the treasurer negotiate with those attorneys for the price, for the budget, as per what council ordered, and that's how we did it the last time. So that's what we did. Collins Clifford.
I'd just like to say that if I give Jim Minks a budget of $120, that's what we can negotiate. That's what Jim's going to negotiate with me. Whenever you get an employee or contract employee coming in, giving them a flat-out rate number where you're up to, they're going to automatically adjust to that rate. And where is the negotiation? I pointed that out before, that whenever you're negotiating with somebody for financial employment, that employee should not even know what the ceiling limit is to be negotiated. She or he is negotiating for a wage. So I just something to throw out there and think about. Thank you.
Sonia Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think what we did earlier this morning was when we discussed the chief of police. Just as an example, I think that we did take that back through Law and Order Committee, and the committee did negotiate with Ms. Hermany-Horses as to what type of salary she would take. And once that was approved, then we brought it on to tribal council floor, and that's where it came here. So now I understand that part of it, but I think right now we're in council and we're in session. And so now we have this part here, which is the negotiating of the in-house counsel. So I guess we need to be all on the same page as to which way are we going to follow. Are we just going to go ahead and take some things back through Law and Order and approve it there and bring it to council and just make negotiations happen right here on the council floor, which I guess our attorney, Mr. Emery, needs to probably tell us, is that the legal way, to be doing this? Either way, I don't mind, because, I thought maybe approving Ms. Berry-Eagle was just that, and that I didn't know. I thought the salary was already included into it. And so I didn't know that was negotiated up to 120 just now. But to me, we're in council, we're in session, so we need to, I guess, hear that part of it. Either way, I don't mind, but we need to figure out which way we're going to be following these types of actions from the committees.
We have Ella John Carlo, and then we'll get that legal opinion from our attorney.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is for Law and Order, Chair. Did the two current in-house attorneys come to Law and Order and negotiate their contracts? I don't remember this being a big issue with those two individuals when they were selected. So, I mean, if we're going to do one way, then we better stick with that process. Are we going to change it every time just because we're questioning one of our own individuals who's probably getting a salary that she does deserve?
Stephen Emery.
I do not believe that we should talk about this in open
does not believe we should talk about this in open council. To approve. We do have an emotion and a second to accept by resolution and have contract brought me back at next meeting. That's what the resolution is right now. That's at that amount right there. Okay? Run the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Lil Whiteman.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
No.
Valentina Merdanian.
No.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwell.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Hope.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Huh.
Jackie Sears.
Yeah.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
Abstain.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Yeah.
What's it? 13.
Motion did carry, 13 yes, 4 no, 1 abstain. Jackie Sears.
Before we go on to the next one, I do have a district member and our TIPO director wants to address the council for a brief time here. Trina Lonehill.
Hamitakiapi. Trina, Paish Nalai Machap. La Koya Aikichi Shapi Wimie. You skin up at Chusapi. Hello, my relatives. My name is Trina Lonehill. My Lakota name is Akichi Shapimwe. I greet you all this afternoon. I'm here. I wanted to speak briefly on the issue that was recently passed just maybe an hour ago. I was in the hallway and I was not given the opportunity to speak on behalf of my program. I am the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Oglala Sioux tribe. And the issue that you had voted on recently was to restructure my office and to basically eliminate my staff. And, I was never given the opportunity to speak on this behalf. These decisions were made without my input. And it's very upsetting to me because I do have a merit employee under me. What is to become of this employee? Is she going to be riffed? What is the plan? And as for the third-party archaeological sending those out, I already have a contract with a third party, so our ARC services are being contracted out. But I wanted to address that. It's very upsetting to me that one of our tribal members is going to be without a position, without a job. She's a young mother, single mother, and she is going to be without income. But those were decisions that were made without my input, and it's very upsetting. And so that's what I wanted to address today.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, so now we have no more comments. Sonia Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the action that we took a little while ago on the natural resources, the office that we took action on earlier, I think I'm sure that there is a plan in place to move forward with the restructuring. We didn't see the plan, like Ms. Sears asked earlier. Nothing was submitted to council. So I guess what I'm under the understanding is that our acting executive director will be carrying those out, right, Davey? So he will be the one to work with that program to address the restructuring part of it, right? Okay, that's what I wanted to know. And I think Ms. Lone Hill here, is she still in the building? Well, I guess that's what's going to happen, Trina. And so you might maybe want to get with Mr. Patton, Dean Patton, once the action is done, and work with Mr. Patton on it.
Okay. All right. Now we can go into our selection of the ALJ. Dave Poyer.
Mr. Chairman, I talked to Donna a little bit about this yesterday, and I did talk to Stanley. There's some confusion. We thought, or I mean, some of us on the land committee thought that the ALJ, it was broad because ALJ, we have one that's coming from land that was thought this was it, and now this is another one for the tribe on the other side. So we did have one person, and I don't know if that was ever advertised, but that was just for allocation purposes. And so there, I just wanted to get that cleared, so for the record, that the ALJ did, I was under the assumption that we were talking about both.
So it was passed in committee.
It was
to bring to council.
Right.
How long ago?
Oh,
how many?
Month or two ago. When we talked about the grazing ordinance, that's when it was supposedly advertised. An ALJ, if you notice in the grazing ordinance, there's an ALJ that's going to hear them. That's why we took the executive committee out of hearing those appeals. And so we put an ALJ in there instead. So that was supposed to have went out. And we do have one person that showed interest on it. Thank you.
I was just informed by the secretaries that was never afforded to the secretaries to put on the agenda at all. So my recommendation would be that when we come back on Monday, that you bring it back as a 2/3 item. Stanley Lilwai, man.
Chairman, I believe what he's talking about is already listed in the agenda.
It's on there.
It's on the agenda already for the administrative law judge. That's what kind of confused us as well, because they had that under land, but we also had this for the tribe. So there was two.
So,
yeah.
I didn't know what so let me get this clear. We are going to pick, this here is for the court. And you, the land committee, have an ALJ position that was supposed to come to council as well. And is it on the agenda? Just hang on, just wait now. I'm letting the secretaries. We have but what I see on here is the OST Law and Order Committee. Ella John Carlo.
Thank you, Chair. I think the proper thing to do is to go ahead and proceed with this ALJ here, and then on Monday, Dave could probably get the name or names of those individuals that was recommended by committee for that position. Thank you.
That's what we will do. That's what we will do. So we will continue to our process of the interviews for the ALJ. Our first one on the list, Kevin Lewis. Where is Lisa Cummings?
Kevin Lewis. Remember, is that the one you pulled on this morning?
Right here.
Yeah, he's not available.
So we move on. Kevin Lewis is not here, so we move on. Our next one is Stephen Sandvin. Stephanie Leisure.
Chair, thank you. I do believe that the committee secretary advised that he would be available by phone because he had a prior appointment today, as he thought the interviews were going to be yesterday.
Stanley Little White Man.
Chairman, it would be only common sense that we interview the ones that are present, and we can do the phone interview at the end of it.
So we have Sarah Harris.
Kevin Lewis is on the front page of the Rapid City Journal for federal indictment with theft from
Okay. Good afternoon. Please state your name and give us some history give us an opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Harris. I just first of all want to thank everybody for allowing me to come and interview. I was raised in Bennett County, around Bennett County area, went to high school there, and then went to college and law school at the University of South Dakota, which I graduated in 2010. I then worked for legal aid over in the Mission area for a few years, then moved from there to a public defender for the tribe over there. After that, I have been and had been up until January working for the state as an administrative law judge for unemployment hearings, also workers' compensation and grievance hearings. During that time, I guess in 2016, became the OST administrative law judge for grievance hearings. And so I have been doing that up until, I believe I had my last hearing the end of July. And then I'm here for this process. I am residing in Bennett County now and working over there.
Do we have any questions? Sonia Weston.
Good afternoon, Ms. Harris. So you do reside in Bennett County?
I do, yes.
So as needed with any kind of grievance appeals, you were always available to hear those?
I am, and in the year and a half that I've been doing them, I work closely with the Human Resources Department to schedule those, so it hasn't been an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Chancey Wilson.
Are you currently the state's attorney for Bennett County?
I am.
Do you feel that's a conflict of interest, being the state's attorney within the reservation boundaries already, and then the ALJ on top of it?
I haven't had any issues as of now. If there is anything that comes up, I would recuse myself as it being a conflict. But, since January, when I began as the state's attorney in Bennett County, I've not had any issues with that.
Do we have any more questions? None? Stephen Emery.
Are you familiar with the canons of judicial conduct?
Yes.
Canon 1 says to avoid even the appearance of impropriety, does it not?
Correct.
Okay. And you use that as a guide, I presume?
Yes.
Good.
And I am familiar with the tribal code, all of the updates that have come out, and I do have copies of all of that.
What's the difference between state sovereignty and tribal sovereignty?
Well, the tribe is a government unto themselves, and the tribe has jurisdiction of their people. And
Tribal sovereignty is inherent, in other words, and the state sovereignty is derivative of the United States. Yep.
thank you. You're correct.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I will give you a few minutes to give a closing statement.
I would just like to thank you for your time and allowing me to come and interview for this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Abe, for that. Okay, the next one we have is Mr. Pat Lee. Please state your name and give us a brief opening of why you are here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, President. Good afternoon, council members, executive committee members, guests. I'm glad to be here. I'm here applying for a position of ALJ. I am an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. I was born in Pine Ridge. My mother's Elizabeth Brewer from Porcupine. My dad's Albert Lee from Denby. I was born at the old hospital up on the hill where the hospital's no longer there. I grew up in Pine Ridge. I attended school at Holy Rosary, now Red Cloud School. I left when I was a junior, joined the Air Force at age 17, and took my GED while I was in. Then when I got out, I had the GI Bill to go to college, so I went to Black Hill State and became a high school teacher. I was teaching throughout the area in South Dakota, Provo School, Newcastle, and eventually ended up in Arizona. And at that point, I came across an opportunity to go to law school, Indian law program. So I went to University of Albuquerque and did an orientation, then ended up at Arizona State University, where I graduated in 1973 with a Juris Doctorate. I came back and worked for the tribe as an administrative law tribal attorney, and then I was legal aid for a while, and I was just kind of in and out, and then I eventually became special judge when I was teaching for Oglala Lakota College. Then I was appointed chief judge in 1989 by the tribal council. And then I served many years, and then in 1998 I ran for election and was elected by the membership of the tribe, and was served off and on since then. And presently I'm teaching for Oglala Lakota College. I teach Indian law, tribal law, civil jurisdictions, civil law, Indian law, tribal laws, treaties, and government. And I'm very thankful that I can teach these ideas to our young people, because we need to know the substance of our treaties and the rights we have in the treaty law and under the case law. I'm also married to Faith Herman Lee from Kyle. She's here with me. One of the things that I did when I was chief judge, I had a case in which a tribal member was suing a non-member. And the non-member said, I do not stipulate to jurisdiction. Now, our Constitution says that our jurisdiction shall extend to members and others who consent. But the code said non-members who stipulate. There's a big difference between consenting and stipulating. Stipulate is an express, you sign on the dotted line. Well, no non-member is going to do that to be sued, so I brought it to the council and I drafted Ordinance 9312, which is in our code today, which asserts implied consent. If any non-member on the reservation lives, works, is married here, does business, owns land, anything, they are implicitly consenting. So we can define our own version of consent. We don't have to rely on outsiders. Whoever did our code back in those days didn't have tribal members in mind. And so one of the questions asked was, where do we get our authority? It's from our people. But we need to utilize the laws that we have and exercise them so that we can benefit the people. So since then, since 1993, then we have civil jurisdiction over non-members if they're involved with a tribal member. Before that, it wasn't. So that was one of the things I wanted to. I wasn't involved in much legislation because I had to, do the legal. But I worked very closely with the Law and Order Committee and took those things. Now, another thing that one of the questions was asked, where does the tribe get its sovereignty, its sovereign powers? It's inherent in the people, obviously. It was never conferred. The states are conferred under the enabling acts. When they agree to transfer from a territory to a state, they get their jurisdiction. But they must disclaim jurisdiction on Indian reservations, which is why we do not have state laws applicable on the reservation. I like to teach these ideas to our members because we need to know them. And let's see. I'm very proud to have served our reservation for well over 20 years as a judge. And I'm still serving our members through the college. I wrote my own textbook, Tribal Laws, Treaties, and Government. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Do we have any questions? Jackie Sears.
Hi, Pat. I know you have a lot of experience working with the tribe and all this, and we just approved a policy manual for the employees back in July, I believe, July 5th. So, based on that, are you familiar, or did you get a copy of it to look at it, because you'll be dealing with grievances, through the employee?
Yeah. Yeah, Jackie. Well, I don't have a copy of the current one. I have a copy of the older one. And I had a personnel case come to me one year while I was chief judge. This is before they had ALJs. A police officer was terminated. And the police officer said they didn't give me any reason why I was terminated. So I said, well, let's have a hearing. So we had a hearing. And then of course, public safety showed up and they said, under the contract, we don't have to give them a notice or a hearing or even tell them why they were terminated. And I thought that was pretty strong, where they can just unilaterally remove somebody because they were still in their probationary period. And so I said, well, the person should at least be entitled to some kind of notice. See, this was before our Constitution was amended to provide for due process of law, which means notice and a hearing. Those are the elements of due process. But at that time, we didn't have the 2008 amendments. So I ordered public safety, I remanded it back to public safety to at least give them a reason why they terminated him. Well, they appealed, and the Supreme Court ruled against me. I mean, I hate to lose those appeals, but I didn't lose any sleep over it because I still feel that he should have at least been given the reason for termination. It may have been a good reason, but what is it? He wasn't told. And they just relied strictly on the 90-day probationary period where they summarily terminate him like that. So I'm familiar with the problems that exist and the needs to clarify issues of due process. And so I would quickly get oriented to the new policy manual. I haven't seen it, but I do have the old HR policy. I'm familiar with that.
Tina Merdanian.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lee. Will you share with the group an experience where you had to rule on exception?
On what?
On exception? On exception of the rules.
Oh, on an exception to the rule. Let's see if I can think back. Except for this should apply. Offhand, I can't just come up with something. I generally follow the code as it is written. And as long as it's reasonable and as long as it's, in my opinion, constitutional. Because you have to look at the person's rights, like rights to privacy, rights to fair hearing, rights for freedom of speech, and so on, and then rule. And I would rule if it violated that right. Now, one of the big issues today is the people who are sitting down or kneeling during the national anthem, and one of the things that comes to mind is Oliver Wendell Holmes made a statement. He was one of the justices of the Supreme Court. He said, "The freedom of speech does not protect one who falsely yells fire in a crowded theater, thereby causing a panic, endangering lives." Well, I don't see the kneeling down as endangering anybody's life. So I'm not really bothered by that, like Trump is. If it was endanger somebody, that's another question. But I think when it comes to public safety, that's where courts generally draw the line.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Lydia.
I just scheduling of these hearings and with your duty as a instructor for Oglala Lakota College, is that going to be a conflict for you? And would you prioritize our hearings because the policy has a specific time frames and timelines? And I was just wondering if it's going to be an issue for you being an instructor and then these hearings being set up.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. I appreciate that question. That's one I worked around today. I have classes here in Pine Ridge in Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon. Well, I designed a project for the class, and the counselors are giving that to them as we speak. So I work around. The college allows us up to, I think it's 20 hours or 30 hours a week, a semester for personal leave. So and then of course I don't teach at all on Tuesdays. And I only teach one class on Wednesday, and that's that. So I don't feel any problem managing my schedule to work around my teaching duties. And it's a 9-month job. Actually 8 months because we get December off, so. I work 8 months a year. It's kind of like a retirement job. But and I'd like to get back into the legal field, judicial field.
Is there anybody else? If there are no more, if you would give us a closing statement.
Okay, I will. Thank you, President. I would like you to take under consideration that I'm an enrolled member of the tribe. I have the qualifications, both educational and experience. I'm a veteran. I'm an elderly. And I'm still able to work and willing to work. And I believe that it would be a good experience for me and the people in the tribe for me to work for you, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that.
Okay.
Our next one is Jacob Parker. Please state your name and give us a few minutes of who you are, what you're doing, and why you're here.
Hi there. My name is Jacob Parker. I am an attorney and I practice primarily tribal law in Oklahoma. I work in tribal courts for tribal clients and for tribes. My largest client by far is the Kaw Nation of Oklahoma. I serve as their Deputy General Counsel, Court Administrator, Staff Attorney for their Domestic Violence Program, and am a Special Deputy Attorney General for certain matters. In addition to this, I draft codes for tribal governments. I've drafted Administrative Procedures Acts for tribal governments, and I have experience with administrative law. Now, I am not from here. I'm from Oklahoma, and I will maintain an office there. But I actually see that as an asset. You guys have all asked questions about conflicts. It's not possible for me to have a conflict because I don't know anybody here. I don't do any business in this area except for if you should choose to hire me, you. And I don't know anybody who is a member of this tribe. There is no way that anybody who could come in front of me would represent a conflict or even the appearance of a conflict. At that point, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Questions, please. Chancey Wilson.
Being from Oklahoma, and sounds like you got a tough schedule or tight schedule, how would that make you open for cases? How often would that make you open for cases, and how far in advance, and et cetera on that?
I am open as often as necessary. I just need a little bit of notice to get things squared away. As you may have noticed, I am a young attorney. There is sort of a saying with young attorneys that you just work them until they scream and then you work them some more. So put me to work.
Questions? I have one. You said it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, but what if my tribe is suing the tribe you're representing right now?
At this moment, I can assure you that none of the tribes I'm representing are engaged in any litigation with this tribe.
No, but what if I did it tomorrow?
If you did it tomorrow, then I would have to, well, there's two ways we can handle it. On the first way, I could recuse myself from all matters either with your tribe or with the other tribe. Second way is I could Chinese firewall myself off from any matter involving the litigation. So a Chinese firewall is just a fancy lawyer expression, meaning that I wouldn't have access to the files or do anything on the case, and that would seal myself off from the conflict.
Lydia Bearkiller.
I just, my question is, the salary or the payment for administrative law judge, like right now, I don't know what we're paying them, but for him to be coming from another, like Oklahoma to here, is that gonna be a problem for you?
It's not a problem for me.
Are you gonna request for, like, increase of anything, or?
Well, the position was advertised to me at $175 per hour with mileage and lodging. Now, I think mileage from Oklahoma to here is actually ridiculous, and there's no way that I would charge you that. I would charge you mileage from wherever I fly into, either Rapid City or possibly Lincoln, Nebraska, and I would charge you mileage from there to here, not mileage from Oklahoma to here, which would be cost prohibitive for you and, quite frankly, probably an unnecessary way for somebody to take advantage of you.
Anyone else? Tina Merdanian.
Mr. Parker, what do you feel that you will bring to the Oglala Sioux tribe?
Well, I feel that I bring not only experience with administrative law, but also experience with administrative procedures and a litigator's mindset. So as you may have heard from my brief opening statement, I am a litigator. I practice in front of tribal judges and in front of tribal courts all the time. And occasionally I do actually practice in front of administrative courts. And practicing in front of those courts, you learn the procedures, you learn how it works, and you learn how to go from there. And that's what I can bring for you.
Are there any other questions? If there are none, James Cross.
My question is, are you in the process of getting a South Dakota bar too?
I don't believe that I would, in the near term, get a South Dakota bar license. I would probably get admitted to your courts. I would not get admitted to the South Dakota court, since, as I understand, this is all going to be on-reservation activity. The rules of professional conduct for most jurisdictions allow that as long as I have your permission and am admitted to your courts, I don't need to be admitted to the state bar.
Okay. If there are no further questions, give you a few minutes to do a closing statement.
All right. Well, I know that it is a long way from Oklahoma to here, but I do consider those who practice tribal law to be the last of the true circuit riders. Back in the day, lawyers would travel from courthouse to courthouse. The only people who do that anymore are people who practice tribal law. You have to go from tribe to tribe based on who you're representing or who you work for, not sit in one county seat and wait for your clients to come to you and then go file at that courthouse that's 2 miles away. You are the circuit rider, and you need to go to the courthouse, whether that's in South Dakota or Arizona or Oklahoma. You need to go there. Thank you.
Thank you. Where's the secretary? Oh, okay. All right. We have Xavier with the ballots being passed around. It's a council decision. How do you want to vote? Vote for one, and the second highest gets the alternate. Okay?
Jacob. Sarah. Jacob. Pat. 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 Steve. Pat. Jacob. Pat. Jacob. Pat. Jacob. Jacob.
Parliamentary is right. It is my decision to make a decision. So I make a decision to let you vote again on the 2.
Good answer.
Yes. Della Giancarlo.
I guess I should have asked this question prior to the vote, but does Mr. Lee have a lawsuit against the Oglala Sioux tribe? Pending lawsuit?
I have no idea. Can you answer that?
Well, I could address that.
Yes, please do.
Okay, back in 2013. Yeah, back in 2013, the tribal council terminated me because I filed a complaint for constitutional violation, but it was done by motion, without a complaint, without a hearing, just summarily. And so I filed a complaint, and what you have to do under our system is to file with the executive committee for administrative, exhaustive administrative remedies. So I did, and the executive committee agreed that I was denied due process of law, notice, hearing, opportunity to present my issues. And so they settled with me for back pay, and under the settlement agreement, they would pay me half of my salary and the other half in 6 months. Well, they paid me half the salary, then before the 6 months elapsed, the council got a hold of it and passed a motion to deny my second payment. And so I took it back to the, well, I can't take it back to the executive committee because they already made a decision. So I took it back to the court. And so it's pending in the appeals court because the lower court denied my petition saying I should have sued the tribal council, and I got some kind of a exhaustion of sovereign immunity, something like that. So it's pending, but it's not going to be a conflict with me because it doesn't involve any of the things I'll be doing as an ALG if I was selected. So it's pending with the Supreme Court. That's all I can say at this point. So. Any other questions?
Any more? Thank you.
Jennifer is being shorted 30.4% that we're gonna give to the chief of police. And now
No.
they have to go on with the.
Lydia, would you ask him your question, please?
With the interview and the last question I was asked of Pat Lee, and I'm asking, is that going to be a conflict for this position? And I guess because cases are going to be coming in to the ALJ, and with this lawsuit that he won, it was rendered, it was won, and it's still in the Supreme Court today, is his answer. Is that going to be a conflict for this taking on an administrative law judge position?
Anyone that has litigation going against you. Anyone that has litigation going against you is a potential conflict. This is clear, it's a clear one.
So you have the legal opinion right there. Jackie Sears.
Well, my question is, why wasn't this brought up? If they knew something, because, you know, it just doing a discredit here for our tribal member that applied, and it should have been brought up. But nobody said anything until probably because he made the top here. You know, that's my opinion.
Ella John Carlo and then Robin Tapio.
If you're referring to me, which I think you are, I'm not trying to discredit anybody. It was just something that I thought of and I remembered it. And like I said, I apologize for not bringing it up prior to this. But yeah, I did remember. I did just remember. And I did bring it up because I thought it was something that everybody should know.
Robin Tapio. Stanley Little White Man.
Chairman, I believe we're in the middle of votes, and I think we need to get back to that.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we will continue.
Jacob. Pat. Jacob. 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 Pat. Pat. Jacob. Pat. 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 Jacob. Pat. 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 Jacob.
So the total is Pat Lee, 9, Jacob Parker, 7. Election is done. So I need a motion to approve. Motion by Austin Watkins, seconded by Jim Meeks. To approve the vote. Call for the vote, please.
Lane Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little Whiteman.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
No.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Robin Tapio.
Here.
Philip Goodcrow.
Help.
David Puyer. Jackie Sears.
Huh.
Colin C.J. Clifford. Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
And 4.
Motion to approve the vote, 12 yes, 4 no. Motion carried. Jackie Sears?
I think in the past, we didn't have an alternate due to conflicts of interest. I think we should have the second runner up here as a alternate, if that's possible. I'll make a motion to do that.
Have you asked this number 2 man if he would take that position? I believe that should be in order rather than wasting time and voting.
Well, could we ask him? He's right here.
So the question is, Mr. Parker, since you are the second vote getter, second highest vote getter, would you be interested and willing to take on the alternate position?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you have
My motion,
your motion.
yes, to have Jake as the alternate.
With a second by Lisa Jumping Eagle De Leon. Call for the vote, please.
Lane Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yeah.
Stanley Little Whiteman.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller. James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Robin Tapio. Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Puyer. Jackie Sears.
Huh.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
Oh.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
The motion to approve Jacob Parker as the alternate ALJ, 14 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, and 2 not voting. Thank you, Counsel. Now we have the resolution is forthcoming.
There you go.
If the secretary would read the resolution, please.
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the selection of Patrick Lee as the administrative law judge of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe was organized in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 on December 14, 1935, by adopting a federally approved constitution and bylaws, and under Article 3, not 2. Article 3, the Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the position of administrative law judge was advertised in local papers and Patrick Lee was selected for the position of administrative law judge of the Oglala Sioux Tribe at a Tribal Council regular session held on September 28, 2017. And whereas a contract for Patrick Lee will be negotiated by the Law and Order Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, the Oglala Sioux Tribe does hereby approve the selection of Patrick Lee for the Administrative Law Judge of the Oglala Sioux Tribe's position to hear personnel matters, including grievances, appeals of disciplinary actions. And be it further resolved that the negotiated contract will be brought back to the Tribal Council for final approval.
We need a motion. Motion by Collins Clifford, seconded by Tina Merdanian. Please call for the vote. Motion by Collins Clifford, seconded by Tina Merdanian.
Lane Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
No.
James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwald. Oh, Richard is not here. Robin Tapio.
Here.
Philip Goodcurl.
Oh.
David Puyer. Jackie Sears.
Huh.
Colin C.J. Clifford. Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
Motion did carry, 10 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain, and 2 not voting. Thank you, council. We are working on some details for the resolution for the alternate judge. So give Donna her right hand's playing out here. He will be.
What's the rate?
I'm waiting for Lisa Steele to call me back. Are you ready? Call for the vote.
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the selection of Jacob Parker as the alternate administrative law judge of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe was organized in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 on December 14, 1935, by adopting a federally approved constitution and bylaws, and under Article 3, the Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the position of administrative law judge was advertised in local papers and Jacob Parker was selected as the alternate for the position of Administrative Law Judge of the Sioux Tribe at a Tribal Council regular session held on September 28, 2017. And whereas a contract for Jacob Parker will be negotiated by the Law and Order Committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe does hereby approve the selection of Jacob Parker as an alternate for the Administrative Law Judge of the Oglala Sioux Tribe position to hear personnel matters, including grievances, appeals of disciplinary actions, and be it further resolved that the negotiated contract will be brought back to the Tribal Council for final approval.
I need a motion. Motion by Jackie Sears, seconded by Lydia Bearkiller. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Robin Tapio. Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Puyer. Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford. Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Motion did carry, 15 yes, 1 not voting. Thank you very much, Council. So that will take care of our ALJ and the alternate. Congratulations to those of you that are here. My question would be to the committee chairs and the committee, when will be the starting date?
As soon as the contract is signed, could do the same thing with your office.
With the negotiating part. I'm waiting for, I just sent Lisa Steele or Cummings a message to come and see me immediately. I'm just waiting on that. And then we can get that going and bring it back to you. Okay? All right. With that, Council, we've had a long 3 days. We have the Gaming Commission, and that's what I was getting at. We need to do this. We need to do the Gaming Commission. So we need to hang on, be strong. But we'll take a 5-minute break. It'll end up being 15. Okay. Okay, well, I'll call us back into session at 4:46. Our next issue, our next item, I reworded that, CJ. Our next item is the Gaming Commission. We have, is it one position? And we have, what I have in here is just 3 applicants. I only have 3. Sam O'Rourke asked to be, he recused himself. Yeah, he declined. So we have 3. He'd sent Austin a message that he declined. So, and then Donna just informed me that Garfield, Apple, they called and they can't get a hold of him. So we move on. So we should have Tony Redcloud, Terrence Roy and Tony Redcloud. Okay. So our first applicant to come to the podium would be Terrence Roy. Mr. Roy, state your name, give us a short, brief message, and then we'll go with questions.
Okay. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. It's a privilege being up here. I've been here several times before. This is the first time in the potential for employment. However, in brief, I know it's been a long day and I'll be concise, but I've served the Oglala Sioux tribe in many different capacities, but primarily as a gaming commissioner on 3 different occasions and 3 different terms before the restructuring. And prior to that, I was the chief enforcement ranger for the Oglala Sioux Parks and Recreation Authority for 11 years. And most recently, I was the BIA special agent for District 1. At times, I was also the acting district commander as well. With all those experiences, which is just minimal compared to my entire background, I received a lot of additional education and extensive training in areas of law enforcement, investigation, and of course, Indian gaming.
Okay.
Excuse me.
We open up for questions. Do we have any questions? Sonia Weston.
Good afternoon, Mr. Roy.
Yes, ma'am.
Just looking through your background, your resume, is you do have, I guess, experience and knowledge of the Gaming Commission.
I do.
Okay, so you've sat on the commission before?
On 3 terms, yes.
Okay.
Prior to reconstruction.
So you understand all the regs and
Yes, ma'am.
regulations of gaming?
I have practical experience as well as training in those areas.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Next, Jackie Sears.
Yeah, I think on here it has possessing, you possess a level 2 commission. Is that for gaming?
Level 2 commission was for the National Park Service.
Okay.
Enforcement
Do you
ranger.
have any training on the gaming commission itself?
I do, extensively. As I was trained by the National Indian Gaming Commission, I've had extensive training and experience with the National Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, minimal internal controls, all the ordinances and regulations that the Oglala Sioux tribe and our casinos have to adhere to. I do know those.
Any more questions? I guess, Lydia, you have a question? Okay. You were saying something, I thought maybe you wanted to.
No, I just said that all the his whole packet was good, is what I said.
Okay.
And with the qualifications too.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, I will give you a few minutes to give closing statements.
Okay, I'll be extremely concise. First of all, my entire professional and my professional career has been pretty much dedicated to the tribe. Enforcement, investigations, and Indian gaming, and the efforts towards self-sufficiency for the tribe is something I've always attempted to adhere to, and it's something I'm astute to as well as far as the law goes, and as far as policy and procedures and everything that pertains to those areas as far as Indian gaming. It's something I want to continue and think I can contribute to the tribe in a positive manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Red Cloud is our next candidate, applicant. Tony Red Cloud, is she in the building? Dave Poyer.
I have a question. It's not for the candidates, but what's the term of office for these people?
Unexpired term for until the next time, when we come back at the end of this term. Explain that, Stanley, will you?
It's just, this particular position would be unexpired term up to the time we go back up for election. Next year.
Okay. Collins Clifford.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I would like to make a motion to seat Mr. Terrence Roy in the gaming position as being the only one to come and interview. Thank you.
Motion by Tony Red Cloud cannot make it. She just advised Donna that she can and will not make it. So we have a motion by Collins Clifford, seconded by Lisa Jumping Eagle De Leon, to approve the selection. Is that your? Okay. For Terrence Roy, we got a question.
I think we should consider the ones that put in here and they can't make it, like we did with the prior ones. We still had the ballot, so I think we should run the ballot, the vote on it.
We have a motion on the floor. We can have a motion to table it and have the election. Stanley Little White Man.
Motion to table that and have three based on their applications to consider. I think we've done that in the past with other positions that we've had applicants for.
Motion to table and have the election. Seconded by Philip Goodcrow. Of the three on the ballot. Dave Poyer.
Under Robert's Rules of Order, can we just turn around and, I don't think we can just turn around and bring it back to the vote. I think the best thing to do would just to be vote down the motion that was made.
Steve. Yes. The legal opinion.
They need an election. Unless you're gonna choose one, they need an election.
So the motion, the tabling motion will stand, and then we'll have the election. Okay? Motion by Stanley Little White Man to table and have, to table the selection, approving selection of Collins Clifford, and then to have the election for the three on the ballot. Seconded by Philip Goodcrow. Call for the vote.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks,
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man,
Yes.
Austin Watkins, Chancey Wilson,
No.
Stephanie Leisure,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo,
No.
Robin Tapio,
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow,
Oh.
David Puyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh?
Jackie Sears,
Huh.
CJ Clifford,
Here.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon,
Here.
how much is this?
Motion to table and have the election carried, 13 yes, 4 no. So we will have the election. Right here.
Garfield, Terrence, and Tony.
I gave him one to pass down.
Are we complaining for nothing? Go ahead, pick up the ballots.
Tony, Terrence, Terrence, Tony, Terrence, Tony, Tony, Terrence, Tony, Roy, Tony, Tony, Terrence, Tony,
Tony. Tony. Tony.
Vote total is Tony Red Cloud 11, Terrence Roy 6. We have a motion by Dave Poyer to approve the vote, seconded by Austin Watkins. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Vote.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller. James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Robin Tapio. Philip Ducro. David Poyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Ha.
Jackie Sears.
Ha.
CJ Clifford.
Abstain.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, we need one for this one.
Motion carried to approve the vote, 16 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstain. Now we need a motion for the resolution. Motion by Robin Tapio, seconded by Sonia Weston. If the secretary would read the resolution, please.
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the selection of Tony Red Cloud selected for the Oglala Sioux Tribe Gaming Commission. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935 in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the position of the Gaming Commissioner was advertised in local papers and Tony Red Cloud was selected for the OS. Just goes up here. OST Gaming Commission position at a Tribal Council regular session held on September 28, 2017. And whereas there currently exists one vacant unexpired term to be filled for the remainder of the 2016-2018 term for the OST Gaming Commission, now therefore be it resolved that the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe does hereby approve the selection of Tony Red Cloud for the Oglala Sioux Tribe Gaming Commission position.
Dave Poyer.
For Mr. Goodcrack, here's the past gaming commissioner. Are these staggered terms?
They're staggered term 2, 4, and 6.
So is this yours? So what position? What position?
But
would
they
this?
had 3 and 2 were.
Please use your microphone.
We had there's 3 positions, 2, 4, and 6 year terms, and one of them there was 2 that only put in for a petition. And so they were,
We're filling your position, so if you got a
no,
6, then.
no, I completed my term. Yeah.
Somebody had a 6 and somebody had a 6.
Sonia Weston. I don't believe your microphone's on.
When we got in this term, this one was supposed to be advertised. This was supposed to be selected then.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it wasn't. And so we only had 2 of them that ran during the election. And so they were put in. That was Warren Cross and Naomi Felicia. So this 3rd one wasn't put in. So really, actually, they're behind. They should have been in too during that term. But for some reason, that didn't happen. So now we're just not filling that position. So it's going to run till the end of, like Stanley said, to the end of this election, our term.
Call for the vote. Are we ready? Okay.
Lane Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little Whiteman.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian. Yes. Lydia Bearkiller. James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
oh,
David Puyer. Sonia Lilhawk Weston.
Huh?
Jackie Sears.
Ha.
Colin C.J. Clifford. Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon.
Uh-huh.
Motion carried, 15 yes, 2 not voting. Thank you, council. Well, that's going to be my question. Do we want to recess or do we want to adjourn? Okay, we can just call a recess and reconvene Monday at 10 a.m. Okay? Put them at the top of the table, and I'll have Xavier come around and pick them up for you. And so we will recess at 5:09. Can I get somebody to raise their hand for a closing prayer? Lisa Jopenigo, thank you. You just put your hand in there.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for a good day's work. It was interesting to hear everybody's opinions and their conversations about what went on today on Tribal Council, and I thank the audience that's out there listening. And I wish everybody a safe trip home wherever they are, and hope that everybody is in good health. And I pray for the children and the grandparents and everybody that is in need. Thank you. Have a good night.
Amen.